Across every continent, buried in stone and silence, are ancient mysteries that science still can't explain. How were 1,000-ton stones lifted without machines? Who built underground cities no one claimed? And why do so many ancient texts speak of knowledge that shouldn't exist? This is 1 hour of the greatest archaeological enigmas that continue to defy everything we think we know about history. It was the first city on Earth, and then it vanished. Before the pyramids rose, before the first pharaoh reigned, and long before Babylon carved its place in history, there was Eridu, a city so ancient, so sacred, that the Sumerians believed it was founded by the gods themselves. It was here, they claimed, that civilization began, not with tools or war, but with divine authority descending from the heavens. For centuries, Eridu thrived. Its temples reached toward the skies, its priests channeled wisdom from the god Enki, and its people laid the foundations of everything we now call civilization. But then, it was abandoned, not by fire, not by conquest, but by silence, as if an unseen force called its people away, forever. Why would humanity walk away from its own origin? What secrets did Eridu carry, so powerful, so sacred, that it had to be erased? The ruins remain, the myths remember, but the answers, they're still buried in the sands of southern Iraq, waiting to be uncovered. But what do you think happened to Eridu? Was it climate change, divine abandonment, or something far more mysterious? If this was the first city of the gods, why did they leave it behind? Drop your theories in the comments. Let's unravel this mystery together. According to the ancient Sumerian king list, Eridu was the first city where kingship descended from heaven. This wasn't mere poetry. It was the Sumerians' way of saying that Eridu was the starting point of divine rule on Earth. In their cosmology, the gods themselves selected Eridu as the cradle of human civilization, and it is often referenced as the first city built after the Great Flood, a sacred foundation of the post-Diluvian world. In the myth of Enki and the world order, the god Enki, Ea, deity of water, wisdom, magic, and creation, was said to dwell in Eridu's grand temple, E-Abzu. This temple wasn't just symbolic. It represented a cosmic center where the boundaries between divine and mortal realms blurred. Enki, the benefactor of humankind, dispensed knowledge and lore from Eridu, laying the groundwork for art, science, agriculture, and social order. So important was Eridu that it inspired the very architectural template that would shape Mesopotamian religious design for centuries. The ziggurat, layered temples reaching toward the heavens, mirroring the cosmic mountain where gods resided. Archaeological excavations at Eridu, especially during the 20th century, revealed something extraordinary. Layer upon layer of temples built atop one another, totaling 18 distinct architectural phases, each representing a religious era that spanned millennia. Every new temple was constructed directly on the ruins of the previous one, reflecting a continuous flow of faith and ritual, a phenomenon extremely rare in the history of human civilization. While architectural styles and religious emphasis shifted over time, one thing remained unchanged: the unshakable belief that Eridu was sacred ground. These structures were not merely physical architecture. They functioned as spiritual gateways, mud brick stairways not only leading upward to the heavens, but symbolizing a connection to Abzu, the sacred subterranean water realm governed by the god Enki. Across generations, it seems that people felt compelled to reaffirm their bond with the cosmic origin point, the place where gods and humans once communed. These are not just ancient ruins, they are living evidence of a religious center that endured through the ages. Located near the ancient shoreline of the Persian Gulf, Eridu possessed an ideal geographic position, close to fertile alluvial lands and within reach of major ancient trade routes. This strategic location transformed Eridu into a thriving cultural hub, where religious rituals, political authority, and technological advancement coexisted and reinforced one another. More than just the first city, Eridu served as a cultural foundation for the entire Sumerian civilization. Its influence extended to major cities like Ur and Uruk, and continued to echo through the legends of successive cultures such as Babylon, Assyria, and even in biblical texts. Some scholars have even hypothesized that Eridu may have inspired the concept of the Garden of Eden in the Bible, citing its unparalleled antiquity, sacred status, and the presence of a vital freshwater source, the Abzu, the underground water realm regarded as the soul of life itself. And yet, despite its historical and spiritual importance, Eridu was eventually deserted. By around 2000 BCE, the city that once symbolized divine order was reduced to silence. It wasn't destroyed by war. There's no evidence of catastrophic flood or fire. Instead, Eridu faded, its temples empty, its walls crumbling, its name surviving only in legends. This mysterious abandonment raises questions that have yet to be fully answered. Was it environmental? Some scholars suggest that shifting climate patterns led to the drying up of vital water sources. As the region became more arid, farming would have become increasingly difficult. Desertification may have rendered the once fertile surroundings uninhabitable. Was it spiritual? Could it be that Eridu's religious significance was deliberately retired as newer cities like Ur or Nippur rose to prominence? In ancient Mesopotamia, divine favor was thought to migrate. A god could abandon a city, transferring his essence elsewhere. Was it political? As rival city-states competed for power, Eridu may have simply lost its influence in the shifting landscape of Mesopotamian politics, or something else entirely. Some fringe theorists have proposed radical explanations, from massive underground water collapses to seismic activity, even extraterrestrial intervention. While these remain speculative, the truth is that no single theory fully explains the eerie calm of Eridu's fall. Unlike cities that were violently overrun or dramatically collapsed, Eridu's disappearance was quiet, almost ritualistic, as though the very soul of the city had been withdrawn. To this day, no text, no tablet, no inscription explains what happened. We are left with only silence and the ruins. Perhaps that silence was intentional. Perhaps Eridu had served its cosmic purpose. As the myth goes, once Enki had gifted humanity with knowledge, perhaps the city, his holy seat, was no longer needed. Civilization had taken root elsewhere. The gods had moved on, and so had the people. But the mystery remains. What makes Eridu so haunting is not just that it was first, but that it was first to be forgotten. Today, Eridu lies in ruins, near the edge of modern-day Tel Abu Sharain in Iraq. Few tourists visit. Few locals even speak of it. Yet it remains one of the most sacred sites in human history, an origin point not just of buildings and kings, but of our very idea of civilization. It's where the gods came down, where temples were built to reach the heavens and the underworld alike. And then, it's where people simply stopped returning. A paradoxical monument to both our beginnings and our amnesia. What do you think? Why would such a sacred, prosperous city be abandoned without a trace? Was it nature, fate, or something far more mysterious? Let us know your theories in the comments. Whispers of an Empire, hidden in sacred verses. We all know the names: Atlantis, Lemuria, El Dorado, civilizations said to be lost, buried beneath oceans, or swallowed by myth. But what if one of the greatest of them all didn't sink beneath the sea, but was hidden in plain sight within the ancient scriptures of a living culture? Long before Egypt raised its pyramids, before Babylon built its towers, there may have been an empire in India so advanced, so powerful, that its memory was transformed into legend, its history encrypted in hymns, its technologies mistaken for the tools of gods. This is the story of the Rama Empire, not carved into stone tablets, but encoded in mantras, scattered across the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Vedas. It speaks of flying machines, cities of light, weapons that shook the sky, a civilization that, according to some, achieved greatness beyond what modern science can fully grasp, and then vanished without a trace. But were these sacred texts speaking in metaphor or memory? Let's take a deeper look into one of the greatest historical enigmas ever whispered by human civilization. Do you think ancient texts could be preserving real memories of lost civilizations? Or are we just reading too much into metaphor and myth? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Which side are you on? History or legend? What makes the story of the Rama Empire truly extraordinary is the unshakable presence it holds within ancient Hindu texts. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Vedas, some of the oldest religious and philosophical works in the world, do not merely hint at a great civilization. They paint vivid portraits of sprawling cities, advanced governance, incredible technologies, and a way of life that far surpasses what traditional historians associate with the ancient world. Take, for instance, the Ramayana, attributed to the sage Valmiki. It chronicles the life of Prince Rama, his exile, battles, and his kingdom of Ayodhya, a city described with such grandeur that it rivals any known in ancient history. The Mahabharata, too, recounts cataclysmic wars, fought with weapons of unimaginable power, involving kings and sages who commanded aerial vehicles, used precise targeting systems, and referred to forces that eerily resemble modern-day technologies. Even the Rig Veda, considered one of the oldest books in any Indo-European language, speaks of Vimanas, flying chariots that could move in multiple directions, ascend rapidly, and travel great distances across the sky. These aren't vague poetic devices. They're described with mechanical precision, listing materials, fuels, and operational protocols. In some interpretations, even hinting at ion propulsion or mercury vortex engines. For many, these passages are allegorical, symbolic representations of spiritual truths, but for others, they suggest something more: that ancient India once hosted a civilization that achieved a level of technological and societal advancement, lost to time and buried under layers of allegory and spiritual metaphor. Proponents of the Rama Empire theory often point to Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, major cities of the Indus Valley civilization, as possible remnants of this forgotten empire. These sites boast remarkably advanced urban planning, straight roads, sophisticated drainage systems, multi-storied houses, standardized brick dimensions, and even public bathhouses. What's striking is how early these cities appeared, over 4,500 years ago, and how suddenly they vanished, leaving behind no clear traces of who built them or why they fell. Some archaeologists argue they were simply part of the Indus culture. Others speculate they predate or overlap with the timeline of Rama, especially when ancient texts describe cities that mirror the infrastructure seen at these sites. Could these archaeological remains be fossils of a mythic past, misclassified by modern frameworks that refuse to accept narratives outside of conventional timelines? The Mahabharata contains chilling descriptions of a blazing projectile with the power of the universe, which exploded with the intensity of 1,000 suns. Soldiers' bodies were burned beyond recognition. Hair and nails fell out, birds turned white, and food became inedible. While many dismiss this as metaphor, some researchers have drawn parallels to nuclear warfare. Even more intriguing is the evidence found at Mohenjo-daro, where skeletal remains appear to show signs of sudden death, high radiation levels, and vitrified sand, conditions that some interpret as indicative of ancient atomic explosions. If these interpretations hold even a grain of truth, it would mean that the Rama Empire may have not only achieved technological prowess, but also suffered from its own destructive potential, much like modern civilizations face today. Among the most striking features of the Rama Empire narrative is the concept of Vimanas, flying machines mentioned across multiple ancient texts. The Vaimanika Shastra, a Sanskrit text said to be based on ancient knowledge, provides detailed descriptions of these aerial vehicles. It speaks of various types of Vimanas, their propulsion systems, control mechanisms, and even countermeasures used in aerial combat. Descriptions range from single-pilot crafts to massive palace-sized skyships capable of interplanetary travel. While mainstream historians consider these descriptions to be imaginative literature, aviation engineers have marveled at the depth of technical language, including references to materials that reduce heat, mirrors for visibility in all directions, and anti-gravity effects. The very idea of a technologically capable ancient civilization with flying machines upends the conventional timeline of human development and opens doors to theories ranging from forgotten science to extraterrestrial contact. If such a civilization did exist, why is there no solid proof? Why have we not uncovered their machines, their factories, or their blueprints? One possibility is that the Rama Empire met a catastrophic end, whether through natural disaster, war, or intentional destruction. The Himalayas have preserved myth after myth of great floods, firestorms, and vanished kingdoms. If we accept that much of history is buried beneath layers of earth and erasure, it's not unreasonable to believe entire civilizations could vanish without a trace, especially if their ruins were later repurposed or built over. Another possibility lies in the destruction of knowledge. Oral traditions can twist, scriptures can be reinterpreted, and advanced knowledge can be lost within generations. Just as we once lost the know-how to make Roman concrete, it's possible that the technologies and memories of the Rama Empire were absorbed into mythology, awaiting rediscovery. Academic institutions have largely dismissed the Rama Empire theory as pseudo-history, citing lack of archaeological evidence and the difficulty of extracting literal truths from religious texts. However, recent years have seen a growing openness toward re-examining ancient sources through scientific lenses, from analyzing forgotten manuscripts to using ground-penetrating radar on sacred sites. As the line between mythology and archaeology continues to blur, the idea that stories from ancient India might hold echoes of real events and forgotten civilizations no longer seems implausible. What if the Vedas were not just poetry, but records? What if Ayodhya was not just a city of myth, but one of the world's earliest capitals? What if the Rama Empire did exist and left behind clues that we've only just begun to decipher? In an age where ancient DNA, satellite imaging, and deep Earth scans are rewriting what we thought we knew about early human history, perhaps it's time to look at ancient texts with fresh eyes, not as bedtime stories for spiritual reflection, but as possible testimonies from a lost age. After all, history has a habit of hiding its greatest truths, right in plain sight. What if everything we know about the origins of civilization is wrong? High in the misty hills of South Africa lies a forgotten ring of standing stones, silent, weathered, and almost completely unknown to the world. But some believe this unassuming site could be the oldest man-made structure on Earth, a 75,000-year-old calendar built long before the pyramids, Stonehenge, or even agriculture. Is this proof of a lost chapter of humanity, or just another myth carved into stone? What do you think? Could a site like Adam's calendar truly be 75,000 years old, rewriting everything we thought we knew about ancient history? Or are we simply seeing meaning in a natural formation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. History might be older than we think, and your theory could spark the next big debate. On the desolate hills of Mpumalanga, South Africa, lies a little-known stone circle called Adam's Calendar. From a distance, it appears to be nothing more than a scattered cluster of weathered rocks on a windswept plateau. But to some researchers, this is no ordinary prehistoric ruin. It may be the oldest stone calendar ever created by humans, with a possible age of over 75,000 years. If this is true, it would not only predate Stonehenge or the pyramids by tens of thousands of years, but would also surpass even Göbekli Tepe, the site previously considered the oldest known megalithic structure at around 11,600 years old. The structure of Adam's calendar consists of an irregular ring made up of large dolerite stones set upright. Some of these stones are believed to be aligned with the sunrise and sunset during solstices and equinoxes, suggesting an advanced understanding of astronomy in deep prehistory. Among them, one prominent central stone is aligned so that its flat face points directly at the position of the sunrise on the spring equinox, similar to the arrangement at Stonehenge in England or Chaco Canyon in the US. Yet unlike these famous sites, Adam's calendar is almost entirely absent from mainstream archaeological literature, and the reason for this silence lies in one highly controversial claim: its seemingly impossible age. At the heart of Adam's calendar's mystery is the radical proposition made by two South African researchers, Michael Tellinger, a writer and alternative historian, and Johann Heine, a pilot who first noticed the site while flying overhead. Based on their interpretations of astronomical alignments and erosion patterns, they suggest the site could date back a staggering 75,000 years. Let that sink in. If true, this would rewrite not just African history, but global human history. It would suggest that advanced megalithic construction, celestial knowledge, and possibly even organized society existed tens of thousands of years before the Sumerians or Egyptians, and even before what most archaeologists accept as the dawn of agriculture. But how is this date even estimated? According to Tellinger and Heine, the alignment of certain stones to solar positions at specific times of year provides clues. They propose that the movement of Earth's axial tilt, known as precession, can be traced through how the shadows fall on particular stones throughout the year. By working backwards through thousands of years of precession, they claim to pinpoint a time when these alignments would have been most accurate, around 75,000 BCE. However, mainstream scholars vehemently reject this claim. The reasons are straightforward. The dating is not based on carbon dating, stratigraphy, or any standard archaeological method. There are no associated artifacts, no human remains, no pottery, no tools, just stones. This lack of context makes it nearly impossible to assign a reliable date. Even more damning, critics argue that the supposed astronomical alignments could be coincidental or the result of natural erosion and stone shifting over thousands of years. Many geologists believe the stones could have cracked and tilted over time, invalidating any original orientation. In essence, the 75,000-year claim is an outlier based largely on interpretation, not measurable evidence. The calendar is not alone in this landscape. Across southern Africa, particularly in Zimbabwe and South Africa, lie thousands of stone circles, many still buried beneath soil and vegetation. Some researchers speculate they were cattle kraals or settlement boundaries, while others, like Tellinger, see a grander picture, a sprawling ancient civilization, possibly powered by sound and vibration, technologies far beyond our understanding. These ideas often bleed into pseudo-archaeological territory, where science meets mythology. In this case, the mythology includes the Anunnaki, extraterrestrial beings allegedly referenced in ancient Sumerian texts. Some theorists believe Adam's calendar served as a landing site, energy node, or navigational tool for these ancient visitors, and may have played a role in a prehistoric gold mining operation. Indeed, the region is rich in gold deposits, and mining activity in southern Africa dates back thousands of years. But to link this with alien interventions or civilizations from 75,000 years ago without material evidence requires a leap of faith many academics refuse to make. One of the central questions sparking debate among researchers about Adam's calendar is this: If the site is truly 75,000 years old, then where is the rest of the civilization that built it? In archaeology, the signs of an organized society typically include domestic architecture, tools, roads, pottery, or burial sites. Yet at Adam's calendar, no such material evidence has ever been found. This raises a bold and haunting hypothesis. Could there once have been an ancient civilization that was entirely wiped out by natural disaster, climate change, or simply erased by time? From a more grounded perspective, many scholars believe the site may not be as ancient as claimed. It could very well be a ceremonial or astronomical site built by Iron Age communities. However, the lack of formal archaeological excavation has left Adam's calendar in a state of limbo, suspended between two extremes, a forgotten heritage site and a legend steeped in speculative myth. Regardless of its true age, Adam's calendar plays an important role in igniting public curiosity about ancient knowledge, lost civilizations, and the deeper origins of human consciousness. It compels us to re-examine the timeline of history, which has long been viewed as linear and complete. The existence of such an undeciphered structure sparks lively debate, from unorthodox scientific theories to profound philosophical reflections about just how much we may have forgotten from our past. In a world where history is still largely told through a Western lens, Adam's calendar also holds symbolic value as a representation of the cultural depth and enduring mystery of ancient Africa, a continent considered the cradle of humanity, yet often left out of mainstream narratives about civilization. It reminds us that perhaps countless secrets still lie buried beneath our very feet, waiting to be uncovered. Is Adam's calendar truly the oldest megalithic site on Earth, a relic of a lost world, or merely a misunderstood pile of rocks? The answer depends on what you're willing to believe. While mainstream science demands evidence, alternative history dares us to imagine. And between those two lies a stone circle that refuses to be ignored. Could Adam's calendar truly be 75,000 years old? Or are we seeing patterns and purpose in something nature, or much more recent humans, left behind? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the Great Pyramid of Giza is the oldest structure in the world? Think again. Hidden in the forested highlands of West Java, Indonesia, an unassuming hill is slowly revealing a secret that could overturn the entire history of humanity. The scattered basalt stones on its summit are just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the layers of earth lies a massive man-made structure, possibly dating back as far as 20,000 years. Researchers believe this is not merely an archaeological site, it could be a buried pyramid, larger than any ancient monument we've ever known. If this is true, then Gunung Padang is not just a relic of the past. It may be the first real clue of a lost civilization, one that mainstream history may have chosen to forget. If a pyramid older than those in Egypt is hidden beneath the ground in Indonesia, does that mean the entire history we've been taught needs to be rewritten? What do you think about the possibility of a buried, lost civilization? Share your thoughts in the comments. For centuries, the local people regarded Gunung Padang as a sacred site, tied to legends of ancient kings and deities. However, it wasn't until the 2010s that modern scientific investigations revealed something astonishing. Gunung Padang might not be a natural hill at all, but a massive man-made structure cloaked by time. Surveys using seismic readings, ground-penetrating radar, GPR, and electrical resistivity tomography, ERT, conducted by Indonesian researchers, have painted a completely different picture of the site. Beneath what appears to be natural soil and vegetation lie layers of deliberately arranged stones, forming a multi-tiered, symmetrical construction that closely resembles a stepped pyramid. What's shocking is not just the size, but the level of organization and engineering sophistication. Vertical columns of basalt, many with naturally hexagonal shapes, were transported and carefully placed by human hands. These stones form walls, pathways, terraces, and possibly even underground chambers or corridors. The deeper the layers go, the more complex and expansive the architecture becomes, with mysterious hollow spaces inside, potentially ritual rooms, dwellings, or underground sanctuaries. What's even more remarkable is that the overall form of the structure strongly resembles a pyramid, not only in its step-like design, but in how each tier seems to represent a different phase of development, almost like a timeline of an entire lost civilization. And if this is true, it suggests that the entire hill of Gunung Padang is actually a buried pyramid, disguised beneath layers of soil, rock, and vegetation accumulated over thousands of years. One of the most controversial aspects, and what makes Gunung Padang stand out from every other archaeological site, is its alleged age, which far exceeds that of any known ancient structure built by humans. While the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt was constructed around 4,500 years ago, and Göbekli Tepe in Turkey dates back approximately 11,000 years, radiocarbon dating of the deepest layers of Gunung Padang has produced a staggering result, between 20,000 and 24,000 years old. If this is accurate, Gunung Padang would not only be the oldest pyramid on Earth, but would also raise serious questions about our current understanding of the origins of civilization. According to traditional historical theory, humans in the Stone Age lived in small groups as hunter-gatherers, without the capacity for construction, social organization, or structured belief systems. But a structure as large and complex as Gunung Padang, if truly built 20,000 years ago, would prove the existence of a highly organized society, capable of labor division, architectural planning, and abstract thinking, the foundational traits of true civilization. Although this dating remains a topic of debate, the consistency of results across multiple testing methods makes it difficult to dismiss. If confirmed, Gunung Padang would not merely be an archaeological site, it would become the first physical evidence of a lost chapter in human history. Beyond its remarkable depth and age, the way Gunung Padang was constructed has also astonished researchers. The naturally prismatic basalt blocks were roughly yet precisely cut, then stacked into interlocking, load-bearing layers resembling walls, terraces, and platforms, a construction technique that required structural understanding and planning far beyond what is typically attributed to the Stone Age. Notably, some of the stones show signs of being drilled, carved, or grooved, indicating that they were not only used for building, but were also intentionally shaped, possibly for symbolic, ritualistic, or functional purposes. In addition, researchers discovered traces of a natural adhesive compound used between the stone blocks, quite possibly a form of ancient cement. If this is confirmed, it would represent a major technological leap compared to what we previously believed about prehistoric human capabilities. Ever since the discoveries at Gunung Padang were made public, the site has become the center of an intense debate between two opposing camps: mainstream archaeologists and those who believe in the existence of a forgotten civilization. Supporters emphasize that the data from seismic surveys, radiocarbon dating, and architectural features clearly point to a large-scale, man-made structure, too obvious to dismiss. However, critics argue that geological analysis alone is not enough to prove human construction, and that the sampling methods used so far lack strict standardization according to international scientific protocols. The controversy remains unresolved, but despite the disagreements, Gunung Padang has already raised an important question. Do we truly understand our own past, or have we only glimpsed the surface of a much deeper, buried history? It's undeniable that Gunung Padang opens up an entirely new perspective, that prehistoric humans may once have reached an advanced level of development far beyond what we've ever imagined. If this structure was truly built 20,000 years ago, it would not only overturn the timeline of known civilizations, but also suggest a brilliant chapter of human advancement that was wiped out by global cataclysms, such as volcanic eruptions, ice ages, or asteroid impacts. In that context, Gunung Padang is no longer just an ordinary archaeological site. It becomes a lingering echo of a lost civilization, a place where humans may have once possessed knowledge, belief systems, and complex societal structures, only to be buried beneath the passage of millennia. It forces us to ask, could history be not linear, but a series of cycles, of rise, collapse, and rediscovery? What do you think? If Gunung Padang truly is a pyramid built 20,000 years ago, how do you think that would reshape everything we thought we knew about human history? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The conversation is just beginning. Buried beneath the shifting sands of ancient Sumer is a story older than memory, one that refuses to die. It speaks of beings not born of earth, who descended from the sky, shaped civilizations, and ruled for tens of thousands of years before vanishing in a cataclysmic flood. They were called the Anunnaki, and to this day, their name echoes through stone tablets, forgotten ziggurats, and forbidden texts, like a whisper from a time we were never meant to remember. Were they gods, giants, architects of humanity, or something far stranger, visitors from the stars, now erased from official history? This isn't just myth, it's a riddle carved into the foundation of civilization. And what if the truth has been hiding in plain sight all along? If the stories of the Anunnaki are more than just myth, then who do you think they really were? Worshipped gods, ancient extraterrestrials who once visited Earth, or a forgotten prehistoric civilization erased from human history? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're diving into one of the greatest mysteries ever written. According to the ancient Sumerian king list, humanity's first civilization didn't begin with humans, but with powerful beings known as the Anunnaki, These were not just spiritual symbols, they were described as living entities who descended from the sky to earth and ruled for tens of thousands of years. Each ancient city, Eridu, Bad Tibira, Larak, Sipar, and Shurapak, was governed by a different Anunnaki, suggesting a highly organized territorial system, almost like a divine federation of kingdoms. The ancient texts state, "Kingship descended from heaven," implying that these beings may have literally come from elsewhere, bringing knowledge and authority to govern early humankind. Archaeological evidence from the Ubaid and Uruk periods reveals complex settlements, and massive ziggurats still stand as stone remnants of an age when humans and gods may have truly coexisted. And then they vanished without a trace. Why? And who were they really? What sets the Anunnaki narrative apart is its incredible chronology. The pre-flood kings are said to have ruled for thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of years each. One king, Alulim, is said to have ruled Eridu for 28,800 years. The numbers are not symbolic. They are stated with specificity and consistency across tablets from different sites. Scholars interpret these durations as symbolic, perhaps mythological exaggerations, but others suggest these gods were not constrained by human lifespans. Were they immortal, or simply advanced beings with access to biological longevity beyond our understanding? The myth of a global deluge is one of the most persistent cross-cultural memories in human history. Found in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Bible's Book of Genesis, Hindu texts, and even Andean legends, it seems to point to a traumatic planetary event, an erasure and a rebirth. In Sumerian tradition, the gods grew weary of humanity's noise and disobedience. Enlil, the chief deity, decreed destruction by flood, but Enki, sympathetic to humanity, warned a mortal, Ziusudra or Utnapishtim, to build a great boat. Did the flood mark the end of the Anunnaki's rule? Were they destroyed, or did they retreat, perhaps to the heavens from which they came? Many ancient carvings from Mesopotamia depict the Anunnaki holding mysterious objects, divine bags, wrist devices, or items resembling modern watches. Some images even show them interacting with symbols, energy, or tools that resemble technical instruments. This has led many to speculate that the Anunnaki were not just spiritual deities, but beings possessing technology far beyond that of humans at the time, possibly even ancient extraterrestrials. They may have introduced knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, metallurgy, and the first writing systems. Supporters of this theory often point to the sudden knowledge leap in Sumerian civilization around 3000 BCE, when advanced cities, irrigation systems, legal codes, base 60 mathematics, and even accurate astronomical maps appeared almost simultaneously. Could this be the result of a knowledge transfer from non-human entities who accelerated human development? This is the pivotal crux of the entire Anunnaki narrative, a mystery that has never been fully unraveled. Who were they really? Were the Anunnaki merely symbolic representations of natural phenomena created by ancient imagination to explain an incomprehensible universe? Or were they in fact distorted memories of a species that truly existed, now erased from the official timeline of human history? Some modern scholars argue that the Anunnaki were purely theological constructs, a symbolic model used to legitimize royal authority and social order. However, what makes this theory unconvincing is the striking consistency in the details: names, roles, behaviors, and disappearance sequences, all repeated across different cities, eras, and languages. In every legend, they come from the sky, descend to Earth, guide humanity, and vanish after a catastrophe, often a great flood. The Sumerian king list states plainly, "Then the floods swept over." From that point on, kingship was handed from the gods to humankind. A clear and definitive line was drawn, as if someone had closed the curtain on a forgotten age. But why is that separation so distinct? And why do civilizations so far apart share the same motif? Sky beings who rule and then depart. Could this be more than just myth? Perhaps a collective global memory sealed away through the ages. Skeptics often argue that there is no concrete archaeological evidence proving the Anunnaki were real entities. No bones, no spacecraft, no definitive artifacts. However, in the field of ancient history, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, especially when dealing with stories that are over 6,000 years old, worn away by time, war, and cultural censorship. Some theories suggest that such evidence may once have existed, but was sealed away in museums, lost during conflicts, or even deliberately destroyed to avoid controversy. Many alternative scholars turn to forbidden texts like the Book of Enoch, Gnostic scriptures, or the Dead Sea Scrolls, which all speak of beings who once taught humanity, ruled over early civilization, and then mysteriously vanished. Could it be that our collective memory has been reset by a flood, a disaster, or a deliberate decision to bury truths too dangerous to reveal? If what the Sumerians wrote was more than just legend, then we may be facing one of the greatest questions in human history. Did humanity once coexist with another species, these so-called gods, and has since forgotten all memory of them? Ancient civilizations always looked to the sky when speaking of the origins of knowledge. The gods always came from above, and in every tradition, they speak of a great flood that wiped everything clean. Why are these stories so remarkably similar? We call them the Anunnaki, but perhaps the Egyptians called them Neteru. The Maya knew them as Kukulkan. The Hopi remembered them as Kachina. Maybe these are all just different names for the same buried memory. So then, are the Anunnaki merely the product of human imagination? Or are they the sealed-away memory of an ancient truth? Iron tubes embedded in solid rock, in the middle of nowhere. Some say they're natural. Others whisper they're proof of a forgotten civilization. Amid the arid, desolate mountains of western China, far from any traces of ancient human settlement, lies a phenomenon that has left scientists speechless. Ancient metal pipes, embedded deep within rocky cliffs, arranged in a network as if once part of a purposeful transmission system. They are known as the Baigong pipes, but that name alone can't capture the eerie mystery waiting to be unraveled. These are not just a few rusted iron fragments buried in the ground. They resemble engineered structures made of materials that don't fully match natural ore, and they may be far older than anything we've ever documented. The Baigong pipes sit at the intersection of geology and unanswered questions. Are they a bizarre trick of nature, or remnants of a forgotten civilization. What do you think these pipes are? Are they just a rare geological coincidence, or undeniable proof of a lost technology we can't explain? Drop your theory in the comments below. Natural formation, ancient engineering, or something else entirely? Let's see which side of the mystery you believe in. The Baigong pipe system was discovered in one of the most remote areas of China, Mount Baigong, near Tosun Lake in Qinghai Province. This is a barren highland region with virtually no evidence of ancient or modern human settlement. Strangely, some of the metal pipes protrude from the cliffside near a large cave, while many others are embedded deep underground or submerged beneath the lake. The isolated location has led many to question whether ancient humans could have even accessed this place, let alone constructed anything there. Yet what puzzles scientists even more is the structure of the pipes themselves. They are not just fragments of broken, natural iron. Many segments are perfectly round, with consistent diameters, and some appear to be interconnected like part of a larger system, evoking the image of a deliberately designed conduit network. But the bigger question remains: what was this system for? And who could have created it in an era where no human presence has ever been confirmed in the area? The Baigong pipes vary greatly in size. Some are just a few centimeters wide, while others reach over 40 centimeters in diameter. What's especially striking is that they are not randomly scattered. They follow clear directional paths. Some plunge vertically into the ground like geological drill cores, while others run horizontally through bedrock layers, forming an organized network. This arrangement suggests a specific geometric logic, distinctly different from common natural formations. If these pipes are indeed man-made, then their creation and installation would have required a high level of technological skill, from selecting raw materials and processing metal to shaping consistently round tubes and embedding them into solid rock. This raises a provocative question. Could there have once been an ancient civilization in this place, one that history has yet to acknowledge or record? Numerous reports note that the pipes are severely corroded, with some nearly fused into the surrounding rock, making it extremely difficult to determine their age. Conservative estimates suggest they may be thousands or even tens of thousands of years old. However, according to the known historical record, no civilization in the Qinghai Highlands at that time would have possessed the metallurgical or engineering capabilities to produce such structures. This has led to one of the most controversial and intriguing hypotheses. Could these be remnants of a long-lost ancient technology, or even a civilization that has been erased from history? What baffles scientists the most is the chemical composition of the Baigong pipes. When analyzed in various laboratories across China, the samples yielded puzzling results. While they are mostly composed of iron-based alloys, they do not completely match the profile of natural iron ore found in the area. According to a report from the Chinese Institute of Geology, the pipes contain an unusually high percentage of iron oxide, along with silica, calcium carbonate, and even trace elements like aluminum and sodium, materials not commonly found in natural iron deposits. This suggests that the pipes underwent some form of processing or alloying, rather than being raw mineral products. Even more astonishingly, Approximately 8% of the material found in the pipes could not be identified, according to a report cited by Xinhua News. These unknown origin elements have led some researchers to ask, could these pipes have been manufactured using a technology that is completely unfamiliar to us today? A technology capable of manipulating materials, creating specific alloys, or even synthesizing unusual compounds. Adding to the mystery, in several pipe samples, the outer layers appear to have dissolved and merged with the surrounding limestone, indicating that they have been buried for a very long time and subjected to geological processes lasting thousands of years. If these are purely natural formations, how do we explain their precise tubular shapes? And if they are artificial, why do their alloy compositions not match any known ancient metalworking techniques? Faced with the bizarre nature of the Baigong pipe system, the scientific community is divided into two opposing camps. Some geologists believe the pipes are a rare natural phenomenon, similar to fossilized tubes found in other locations. According to this view, the pipes may have formed when mineral-rich groundwater seeped through decaying tree roots or rock fissures, gradually solidifying over thousands of years into tube-like structures, a process known as ferric pipe formation. However, many skeptical researchers argue that this explanation fails to account for the geometric precision, the relatively uniform lengths, or the unusual alloy composition found in the pipes. They also point out that some pipes are embedded deep within bedrock in clearly intentional directions and even lie beneath the lake bed, places where natural conditions would be unlikely to produce such formations. These factors cast serious doubt on the natural hypothesis. After international media began reporting on the Baigong pipes in the early 2000s, the cave area housing the system was suddenly completely closed off by the Chinese authorities, citing environmental protection concerns. However, this move did not ease public curiosity. Instead, it sparked even more suspicion that something unusual might be hidden there. Many independent researchers and archaeology enthusiasts believe that if the site were made accessible and studied transparently, the discoveries could potentially reshape our understanding of ancient history and long-lost technologies. To this day, no international archaeological team or independent scientific body has been allowed to conduct a comprehensive study and publish peer-reviewed findings about the Baigong pipes. Current information mostly comes from domestic media, semi-official sources, or brief surveys. Yet even this limited data has ignited enduring curiosity. So the question remains, are the Baigong pipes a bizarre product of natural processes, the legacy of an unknown civilization, or something beyond what science can currently explain? At first glance, Lake Fuxian in China's Yunnan province is nothing more than a breathtaking natural wonder. Its waters deep, clear, and serene. But beneath this mirror of tranquility lies something that defies all expectations. A submerged city-like complex of massive stone structures, crafted with a precision that seems far beyond its time or place. No ancient text describes it. No known culture claims it. And yet the stones are there, laid out in geometric perfection, whispering the story of a forgotten world. Who built this sunken monument? When? And why does its architecture match nothing ever seen in Chinese history? This is not just an archaeological anomaly. It's a riddle at the bottom of a lake, a silent, immovable challenge to everything we think we know about early civilizations. A question for you, the viewer. If the structures beneath Lake Fuxian truly don't belong to any known civilization in Chinese history, then who do you think built them? Could they be the remnants of a forgotten civilization or something even stranger? Share your thoughts in the comments. Who knows, your theory might just be the missing piece to an unsolved mystery. Discovered in 2001 during sonar surveys and underwater expeditions, the structures rest about 7 to 40 meters below the lake's surface. Sonar images first revealed what appeared to be rectangular and pyramid-like formations. Subsequent dives confirmed the existence of large stone platforms, steps, walls, and terraces, all appearing artificially carved and aligned with an architectural intentionality that can hardly be attributed to nature. Some of the stones are over 3 meters long and weigh several tons. More strikingly, many of them are stacked or arranged with a precision that would be difficult to replicate even with modern technology underwater. But beyond the sheer scale, what truly baffles researchers is the design language of these constructions, which seems to belong to no known Chinese civilization. Among the ruins, divers found a stone column over 2 meters tall, engraved with what appears to be a humanoid face, flat, expressionless, and stylized like a mask. The shape of the face bore no resemblance to any iconography from known Chinese dynasties or local tribal cultures. The head was large, the eyes hollow, the mouth absent. Some scholars suggested that it vaguely echoed the massive carved heads of the Olmec civilization in Mesoamerica, though the connection is, of course, speculative. Other structures included what seemed to be large platforms, possibly once supporting buildings or monuments. Some bore shallow carvings or repetitive geometric patterns, not random scratches from erosion, but potentially symbolic motifs or even language-like glyphs. The repeated use of symmetry and alignment suggests a developed understanding of engineering, measurement, and design aesthetics. Perhaps the most astonishing aspect is that no known Chinese culture, from the Neolithic to the Tang dynasty, utilized this architectural style, especially in underwater construction. The structures seem to predate not only the ancient kingdoms of the Yunnan region, but also any known urban development in the area. This has led to speculation that the builders may have been members of a now lost civilization, one that existed thousands of years ago, potentially in a time before recorded history in this part of Asia. The challenge for archaeologists lies in the lack of cultural context. In most cases, ancient ruins can be linked to pottery shards, burial practices, linguistic traces, or mythological references. But the Lake Fuxian site provides none of that. There are no inscriptions that can be reliably translated, no organic remains that have been radiocarbon dated, and no known legends in Chinese history that clearly describe a city being swallowed by the lake. Some researchers have attempted to link the ruins to Yuyuan City, a settlement recorded in Han Dynasty documents as having sunk without trace. But the dating of Yuyuan places it around 200 BCE, while some experts believe the Fuxian structures could be far older, possibly 4,000 to 12,000 years old, based on the wear patterns on the stone and sediment layers. If the more extreme estimates are accurate, that would place these ruins in a time well before the Xia dynasty, which is considered the first Chinese dynasty, dated to roughly 2000 BCE. This pushes the Fuxian structures into the realm of prehistoric Asia, where almost no large-scale stone architecture is known to have existed, and certainly nothing submerged. Several clues support the idea that the structures weren't built by any civilization we know. Unusual angles and terracing. Some stone slabs were arranged in precise right angles, forming stairways or ramps. This is rare in early architecture unless there's a strong cultural or ritual purpose behind it. Monolithic stonework. Unlike traditional Chinese stonework, which often use smaller stones or bricks, the Fuxian structures rely on massive blocks, a trait more commonly associated with Andean or megalithic European architecture. Absence of jointing mortar. Many blocks were fitted tightly without any binding material, which requires a sophisticated understanding of weight distribution and carving precision. Tool marks and engravings. Some surfaces exhibit patterns or lines that hint at tool usage far beyond what local cultures at the time were thought capable of, and in some cases resemble symbols rather than utilitarian etching. All of these details point to the work of an advanced, possibly ritualistic or ceremonial architectural effort. Yet without any identifiable cultural DNA, the site remains unclassified. In the absence of historical connections, alternative theories have taken root. Some suggest that the structures are remnants of a prehistoric civilization wiped out by a sudden natural disaster, possibly a flood, a glacial melt, or even a tectonic event that raised the water level drastically. However, geologists have found no conclusive evidence of such a sudden event in Lake Fuxian's recent geological history. Others have pointed toward cosmic or alien explanations, especially due to the humanoid face carving and the isolated nature of the site. There are even fringe theorists who claim this could be part of a network of ancient cities, possibly connected to Atlantis-like myths that span multiple continents, echoing tales of lost knowledge and drowned kingdoms. While most scientists dismiss the extraterrestrial angle, they admit that the absence of correlation with any known Chinese tradition is deeply perplexing. The site exists, the stones are real, but the fingerprints of its builders remain missing. One might expect that such a potentially civilization-shifting discovery would spark global academic interest, but the Lake Fuxian site has remained relatively obscure, with little official funding, few follow-up expeditions, and minimal inclusion in archaeological conferences. Some point to bureaucratic hesitation, others to the difficulties of underwater research at that depth, and still others to academic conservatism. If something can't be easily classified, it's often ignored. In many ways, the underwater ruins of Lake Fuxian are like a script without a key, beautifully carved, intentionally placed, but entirely unreadable. They challenge our understanding of early civilization in Asia and remind us of a profound truth. Our timeline of history is built not on certainties, but on what has survived and what we have dared to question. Whether they are the remnants of Yuan, a forgotten people, or a lost chapter of human evolution, the stone structures beneath Lake Fuxian still wait, silent, submerged, and stubbornly unsolved.